I leaned on the crutch, trying to balance without it for once. My legs trembled. "Clara," I said, voice rough, "look, I can almost stand on my own." She didn't look impressed. Her arms were crossed, eyes cold. "Almost," she repeated, mocking me. "Ethan, do you even hear yourself?" My chest tightened. "I just wanted you to see I'm trying." "I've been seeing you try for months," she snapped. "Hospitals, therapy, pills, it never ends." "I can't do this anymore," I blinked, confused. "What do you mean you can't?" "I mean I'm leaving." The words hit harder than the car that broke my leg. I stared at her suitcase by the door. "You're leaving me?" Her tone turned sharp. "You act like this is some surprise. You've been miserable, Ethan. Hopeless. I can't be your nurse forever." "I never asked you to be my nurse," I said quietly. "I just needed you to stay." Clara sighed like I was a burden she'd carried too long. "You don't get it. You're not the same man I fell for. You barely go out, you limp." "You say it," I interrupted. "Go ahead," her lips curled. "You're a cripple, Ethan, and I can't spend my 20s babysitting one." I froze. The air left my lungs. "You really just said that?" She looked away, almost embarrassed, but not enough. "I'm being honest." "Someone has to." I laughed bitterly, my throat burning. "Honest? No, you're being cruel." Her eyes flashed. "Cruel would be staying and lying about loving you." "I don't." The silence that followed was so heavy it hurt. The only sound was the ticking of the wall clock and my uneven breathing. I tried to step toward her, my knee screaming in protest. "Please, Clara, we can fix this." "No," she said. "You can't even fix yourself." I dropped my crutch, the wooden sound echoing across the floor. "You think I asked for this accident? You think I wanted to end up like this?" "I think," she said, grabbing her purse, "that you should stop expecting people to wait around for your recovery story." My voice cracked. "You promised you'd never leave me when things got hard." She paused by the door. "Things didn't get hard, Ethan. You did." Something in me shattered. I limped forward anyway, nearly falling. "Clara, don't. Don't walk out like this." Her hand was already on the knob. "I already packed my stuff." "It's done. Was it all fake then? Everything we said, everything we planned?" She hesitated, eyes softening for the briefest second. Then her mask returned. "No, but I don't love you anymore." "Pity doesn't make love," my voice lowered. "You'll regret this." She smiled faintly, cruelly. "No, Ethan, you will." And just like that, she walked out. I stood there, the silence louder than her voice. My heart pounded in my ears. I tried to move after her, but my leg gave way, and I hit the floor hard. The pain shot up my spine, but it didn't compare to the one in my chest. The door slammed behind her, leaving the smell of her perfume and the echo of her words. I stared at the floorboards. "I'm pathetic," I whispered. "Completely pathetic." The phone buzzed on the table, probably another doctor's reminder, but I didn't care. I dragged myself to the couch, breathing unevenly. Her toothbrush was gone. Her clothes. Her ring on the counter shining like an insult. I picked it up, held it between my fingers, and whispered, "You said forever." My voice cracked. "You said forever." Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I clenched my fist, staring at my useless leg. "Fine," I muttered. "If this is how it ends, so be it." I looked toward the door she'd vanished through. "Go ahead, Clara. Leave. I'll learn to walk again without you." The apartment felt too big, too empty. Every photo on the wall mocked me. The vacations, the smiles, the life we planned before the accident. I grabbed one, threw it against the floor. The glass shattered, like something symbolic was demanding to break. I sat there, shaking, whispering into the silence. "You'll remember me someday, when the world stops clapping for you." The room felt colder than ever. My hand trembled as I reached for my cane again. "I thought I'd never see her again," I said softly, gripping it tight. "I was wrong. Again," Dr. Mason said, folding his arms. His tone was calm but firm, the kind that didn't tolerate excuses. My palms were slick with sweat. "I can't even feel my leg properly," I muttered. He stepped closer. "That's not true." "You feel the pain, don't you?" I gritted my teeth. "Yeah, then it's alive," he said. "So use it." I pushed against the bar, every nerve screaming. My leg trembled like it was carrying the world. I wanted to yell, but I forced myself to stay upright. Lily's voice came from behind me, bright and steady. "Come on, Ethan, you're doing better than yesterday." I shook my head. Yesterday, I almost passed out. Exactly, she said with a grin. And today you didn't. That's progress, Dr. Mason clapped once. That's enough for now. Sit before you fall. I lowered myself into the chair, chest heaving. How long until I walk again without this stupid cane? He adjusted his glasses. Depends. How much longer are you planning to keep calling it stupid? I frowned. What's that supposed to mean? He leaned on the parallel bars. You hate it because it reminds you of weakness. But it's not weakness, Ethan. It's proof you're fighting back. I looked at the cane beside me, scarred from months of use. It doesn't feel like a symbol of strength. It will, he said quietly. When you stop measuring yourself by what she said, I froze. You don't have to bring her up. I don't have to, he replied, but you're dragging her into every session anyway. Lily touched my shoulder gently. He's right. You talk to the wall like she's still standing there. I exhaled hard. I can't help it. Her voice, what she said, it's like it's carved into my head. Then carve something else over it, Lily said softly. Something worth hearing, Dr. Mason nodded. Good advice. Replace pain with purpose, I smirked faintly. You two sound like motivational posters, Lily laughed. Maybe, but the posters don't hold you when you fall. I looked at her, surprised. You held me? You don't remember? Last week you nearly collapsed and I caught you. You said I had superhuman reflexes, I chuckled. That was probably the pain meds talking. Maybe, she said. But I'm keeping the compliment. Dr. Mason checked his clipboard. We're increasing your resistance next week. You'll hate me for it. I already do, I said. He smiled. Good. Hate is still energy. Use it. Lily handed me a bottle of water. You'll walk again, Ethan. You just have to believe it before your legs do. Her optimism annoyed me and comforted me at the same time. You really think belief fixes bones? She smiled. No, but it fixes people. Her words hit deeper than I expected. I looked down at my hands, at the scars on my skin. You think I'm fixable? I think you were never broken, she said simply. I didn't reply. The silence between us felt heavy but not uncomfortable. I took a long breath. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and hope. Dr. Mason called out, All right, soldier. Back up, I groaned. Already? Pain doesn't wait for permission, he said. With Lily steadying me, I stood again. My left leg wobbled, my right knee ached, but I stayed upright. That's it, she said quietly. One step. I lifted my foot, the floor blurring beneath me. One step, I repeated like a prayer. Now another, Mason said. My muscles burned, but I forced the next step out. Then another. Lily's voice trembled with excitement. You're doing it, Ethan. Feels like walking on glass, I muttered. Then crush it, she said. You already survived worse. That line did something inside me. I didn't stop this time. I walked all the way to the end of the bars before my leg finally gave out. When Mason helped me sit, I realized I was smiling for the first time in months. You see, he said, pain means progress. I wiped my forehead. You're a cruel man, he chuckled. I've been called worse. Lily leaned against the wall. Admit it, you're proud of yourself. Maybe a little, I said. But don't tell anyone. Too late, she said. I'm your witness, I laughed weakly. Guess I can't take that back. As they packed up, I stared at my cane again. It no longer looked like a reminder of what I'd lost. It looked like proof that I hadn't given up. When they left the room, I whispered to myself, I'll rise again. The words felt strange on my tongue, but for the first time I believed them. I hadn't opened my father's old desk in years. It still smelled like the faint mix of coffee and paper he loved. The drawers stuck a little when I pulled them open, looking for treasure, Lily asked from the doorway. More like ghosts, I said. This desk hasn't been touched since the funeral. She stepped in carefully. You sure you're ready? No, I admitted, but I'm doing it anyway. I opened the last drawer and found a sealed envelope with my name on it. Ethan written in my father's uneven handwriting. My heart twisted. Lily noticed my silence. What is it? A letter, I said quietly. He must have written it before. You know, she came closer. You want me to leave you alone? I shook my head. No, just stay. I tore the envelope open. The paper inside was yellowed, the ink a little faded, but his words felt alive. Strength isn't about walking without falling. It's about getting up even when it hurts. My throat tightened. I read it again, slower this time. Even when it hurts, Lily said softly. He really knew you'd need to hear that. I swallowed hard. He always knew, even when I didn't. What else does it say? I continued reading. He wrote, "Don't let pain turn you bitter. Let it sharpen you. One day you'll understand why you had to fall." I folded the paper, staring at it for a long moment. I thought I'd moved on, but it feels like he's talking to me right now. Lily smiled faintly. Maybe he is, I laughed quietly. If that's true, he's probably disappointed I'm still limping. You're walking, she said. That's what matters. The words sat in the air, warm and grounding. For the first time, I didn't feel broken reading about strength. I felt capable. Do you miss him? She asked. Every day, I said. He used to fix everything. Broken toys, broken plans, broken hearts. Except now I'm the one who's broken and he's not here to fix me. He already did, Lily said. With that letter, I smiled weakly. You sound like Dr. Mason. Maybe he's rubbing off on me, she said with a grin. Speaking of which, Mason's son came by earlier. Nathan, right?
He said he's been trying to reach you, I frowned.
Nathan, why? Something about a position at his firm. Remote work, data-related, I blinked. A job for me? She shrugged. Guess so. You should call him. It's time you stopped surviving and started living. I looked down at my leg. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You said that about walking, she reminded me. And look at you now, I chuckled. You've got an annoying habit of being right. I take that as a compliment, she said, smiling. Later that evening, I sat at my small table with my father's letter beside the phone. I dialed Nathan's number. Ethan! Finally, he said, cheerful as ever. I've been asking Mason about you. How's the leg? Still attached, I said dryly. He laughed. Good enough. Listen, I've got a project at the firm. Data entry analysis, you can do it from home. Pays decent, hours flexible. Why me? Because Mason said you're sharp, reliable, and too stubborn to quit. I smiled. He's not wrong. So? You in? I hesitated. My father's words echoed in my mind. Get up even when it hurts. Yeah, I said. I'm in. Great, I'll send you the details. Welcome back to the world, Ethan. When the call ended, I just sat there staring at the folded letter. Lily came by again, holding 2 cups of coffee. That sounded good, she said. It was Nathan, I said. He offered me a job, her eyes lit up. And? I said yes, she set the cup in front of me. Then that's your first real step, not just the walking kind. I nodded slowly. It feels like something's finally shifting. Your dad would be proud, she said. I unfolded the letter again, tracing the lines with my fingers. You think so? I know so. For the first time, the ache in my chest felt lighter. I placed the letter back in the drawer gently, as if tucking him back into rest. As I turned off the light, I whispered, Thanks. Dad, I'll keep getting up. The room went quiet except for the steady tick of the clock. Outside, rain started to fall, soft, rhythmic, alive. I leaned on my cane, listening to it. Each drop sounded like a reminder, a heartbeat from the past pushing me forward. I didn't know it yet, but that letter didn't just remind me who I was, it warned me. Because fate was already turning, quietly preparing its next blow. The call came just as I was finishing a report for Nathan's firm. My phone buzzed against the desk, an unknown number flashing across the screen. Mr. Ethan Cole? A formal voice asked. This is he. Good evening, sir. This is Mr. Grant from St. Mary's Hospital Billing Department. I'm reaching out regarding a patient, Clara Hayes. The name hit like ice water down my spine. Clara Hayes? Yes, sir. According to our records, you're listed as her emergency contact. I nearly laughed. That must be a mistake. There was a brief shuffle of papers on his end. No, sir. It appears she filled out this information 3 years ago. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. What exactly do you need from me? Well, he said hesitant, Ms. Hayes currently has an unpaid balance exceeding $40,000. We've made multiple attempts to reach her directly, but I cut him off. Wait, 40,000? Yes, sir. Her account shows several procedures and an extended stay over the last 6 months. She's been unreachable since discharge. For a moment, I said nothing. My mind flashed back to the hospital bed I'd once lain in, alone, broken, and humiliated, because of her. Mr. Cole? He prompted. I'm here, I said quietly. Tell me, how bad was it? I can't share full medical details without her consent, he replied, cautious. But she was admitted for complications following surgery. It wasn't minor. A strange mix of satisfaction and pity twisted inside me. So she's sick. Recovering, I believe, Mr. Grant said. But her financial situation is difficult? Figures, I muttered. Pardon? Nothing. Just ironic. I understand this might be unexpected, he continued. We simply hoped you could provide updated contact information or reach out on our behalf. I almost laughed again, sharp, humorless. You want me to help her pay her debt? Not necessarily, sir. We're only trying to locate her. She listed your name with specific trust. Trust. The word stung like acid. I leaned forward, elbows on the desk. Mr. Grant, do you have any idea what she did to me? He paused. I'm sorry, sir. I'm only reviewing financial records. Of course you are, I said. Let me guess, she told you I'd handle it, right? That I was reliable, dependable? He cleared his throat. There is a note here about prior assistance. But again, I can't comment further. I laughed softly. Unbelievable. Silence filled the line for a moment. Sir, he said cautiously, if you'd prefer, I can mark the contact invalid. You'll receive no further communication. I hesitated. That would have been easy, clean. But something in me, something dark, quiet, refused. No, I said finally. Keep my name there. Are you sure? Yes, I said. I want to know what happens next. Very well, he said. Would you like a copy of her billing summary for reference? Yes, I said after a pause. Send it to this email. Understood. Thank you for your time, Mr. Cole. When the line disconnected, I just sat there, the faint hum of my computer filling the silence. Lily walked in moments later, holding a cup of tea. You look like you saw a ghost. Close enough, I said. Got a call from a hospital. Her expression shifted. You're not me, I said. Her? Clara. The name alone changed the air in the room. What happened? She asked softly. She's in debt. Medical. 40 grand. Lily blinked. Seriously? Apparently she listed me as her emergency contact. She frowned. After everything she did? Yeah, I gave a hollow smile. Funny, right? Ethan! I know, I said before she could continue. I should ignore it, forget it. Karma did the work for me. But you're not ignoring it, she said quietly. I stared at the steaming cup in my hand. No, I'm not. Why? I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe I want to see how far she's fallen. Maybe I want to hear her voice again to know if she regrets it. Or maybe you still care, Lily finished. I met her eyes. No, caring isn't what this is. Then what is it? Closure, I said. Or something that looks like it, she sighed. Just don't let her pull you back into that pain. I won't, I said. This time I get to decide how it ends. Lily studied me for a moment, then nodded. All right, just promise me you'll be careful. I promise, I said quietly. She left the room, and I turned back to my computer. The email from St. Mary's blinked in my inbox. I opened it. There it was, her name, her debt, her downfall, all in numbers and paper. I exhaled slowly, a bitter calm settling in. Maybe this time, I whispered, I won't be the one left broken. The screen glowed in front of me, cold and white. For the first time, I didn't feel like the victim of her choices. I felt like the witness to her consequences, and somewhere deep down that scared me more than I wanted to admit. When I first read the hospital's follow-up report, I thought it was some kind of mistake. Clara Hayes, once untouchable, adored, perfect, had fallen hard. Too hard, Nathan called, just as I was finishing the document. Ethan, you're still working? Trying to, I said. But something's distracting me. Something or someone? He teased. I sighed. Her name's Clara. He went silent. That Clara? The only one. What about her? She's drowning in medical debt, I said. Apparently she listed me as her emergency contact. He whistled. That's twisted irony. You have no idea. There was a pause. You're not thinking of helping her, are you? I'm thinking of knowing what happened to her, I said. That's all. Be careful, Ethan. You remember what she did. I remember everything, I said quietly. That's why I can't look away. Later that night, I couldn't resist. Curiosity burned hotter than anger. I searched her name online. The first link nearly stopped my heart. A headline: Influencer Clara Hayes faces backlash after cruel remarks resurface. I clicked it. My own picture appeared beneath the text. Me in my wheelchair taken years ago without my consent. The caption quoted her words. He's just a broken man pretending to be whole. Lily walked in, carrying a cup of coffee. You're up late again. I turned the screen toward her. You might want to see this. Her eyes widened. She said that? She did. And now it's public. She ruined herself. Looks like it, I said. Her followers turned on her. Sponsors dropped her. And it doesn't stop there. Her boyfriend stole her savings and disappeared. Lily blinked. You're kidding. Nope. Derek Blake. Same guy she left me for. Guess karma's got good timing, Lily murmured. She deserves it, I said. But even as I said it, the words felt strange in my mouth. Lily leaned against the desk. You don't sound happy. I thought I'd feel something. Bigger. Satisfaction, maybe. But it just feels empty. Because you're not cruel, she said softly. Maybe, I said. But I still want to see her. Why? Because I need to, I said. I need to look at her and know she's real, that this isn't some fantasy of justice playing in my head. Ethan. I'm not going to gloat. I just want closure. She hesitated, then nodded. All right, but promise me you'll walk away if she tries to manipulate you. I will. The next morning, I stood in front of St. Mary's Hospital. The automatic doors slid open with a quiet hiss. The smell of antiseptic hit me, sharp, familiar. My cane tapped lightly against the tiled floor as I approached the nurse's station. I'm here to see Clara Hayes, I said. The nurse looked up. Room 412, are you family? Something like that. I walked slowly, each step heavy with memories. When I reached her door, I stopped. Through the glass window, I saw her, thin, pale, hair tied back. Not the radiant woman who once looked down at me, just tired. I knocked lightly. Her eyes flicked up, confused. Come in. I stepped inside. She frowned. Can I help you? For a moment, I said nothing. I wanted to let her figure it out. I'm sorry, she said, squinting. Do I know you? I almost smiled. Maybe once. Her expression shifted, a flicker of recognition crossing her face. Ethan? I nodded. She froze, color draining from her face. Oh my God. What are you doing here? You listed me as your emergency contact, I said. The hospital called me. She blinked rapidly. I didn't think they'd actually use that. Guess fate has a sense of humor, I said. Her voice trembled. You saw the news, didn't you? I did. So you know everything. I know Derek's gone. I know your career's over. And I know karma finally caught up. Tears welled in her eyes. You came to gloat? No, I said. I came to see if the person who called me broken still believed she was whole. She looked down, silent. I was horrible to you. Yes, you were. I didn't mean half of it. That doesn't make it hurt less. She wiped her face weakly. You hate me. I don't, I said truthfully. But I don't pity you either. Her lips trembled. Then why are you here? Because, I said quietly, I wanted to see what falling looks like from the other side. She flinched, eyes glistening. You've changed! I had to. I turned to leave. Ethan, she whispered. Do you still think about me? I paused at the door. Only when I remember what I survived. Her soft sob followed me out of the room. As I stepped into the hall, I didn't feel vengeance or victory, just an odd, heavy peace. The kind that comes when justice stops feeling sweet and starts feeling real. For the first time in years, I didn't need to prove anything. Watching her crumble was enough. The hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and wilted lilies. I stood by the doorway, my cane tapping once against the floor before I spoke. Clara. She turned slowly, her bandaged arm trembling as she set down a cup of water. Her lips parted, confusion flickering across her pale face. Then her eyes widened. Ethan? The name cracked in her throat. I nodded once. It's been a while. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out for several seconds. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. You're really here. Seems so. I took a step closer, the rubber tip of my cane sliding lightly against the tile. I heard you were in trouble. Her eyes darted to the floor. You heard right. A bitter laugh escaped her. Derek took everything. My savings, my apartment, he's gone. Sounds familiar, I said quietly. She flinched, understanding immediately. Ethan, I didn't mean back then I didn't realize how cruel I was. You realized, I interrupted. You just didn't care. Her breath hitched. I was stupid. I thought mocking you made me strong. And now, I asked, her shoulders sagged. Now I can't even look in the mirror. Everything I built, it's gone. My followers turned on me, my agency dropped me, my mom won't even answer my calls. Maybe karma keeps better records than people think, I murmured. She winced at the word. Karma? Yeah, guess I earned it. I walked to the window, watching the city lights blur through the glass. When I was lying in that hospital bed years ago, you laughed at me for being weak. You said men like me deserved to stay broken. I remember, she whispered. And I hate myself for it. Do you? I turned toward her. Or do you just hate being on the other side now? Her eyes filled with tears. Both, maybe both. Silence stretched between us, thick and electric. I could hear her shaky breathing, the soft hum of the machines beside her. I'm sorry, she said finally. Not because I need anything, but because I destroyed something good. You were kind. I didn't deserve it. I stared at her, trying to read if her regret was real or just another performance. Her voice wavered, but there was no spotlight, no audience, only me. Funny, I said. You once told me that pain makes people honest. Do you believe that now? She looked up, tears streaking her cheeks. Yes. I've never been more honest in my life. For a moment, I almost believed her. I don't know if I can forgive you, I admitted. She nodded slowly. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. I know. Her hands twisted in the blanket. But if I could take it back, every cruel word, every smirk, I would. You can't. I know, she whispered again, voice trembling. But maybe I can start by saying what I should have said years ago. Thank you. For showing up when no one else would. I laughed softly, though it wasn't kind. You think I came here to help? Her gaze faltered. Didn't you? I came because I wanted to see the truth. To see if karma really worked. And it did. Her expression broke, tears spilling freely. Then you got what you wanted. Maybe, I said. But it doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. Ethan, she whispered, please, don't leave like this. Like what? Like you hate me. I took a long breath. I don't hate you, Clara. Hate requires caring. What I feel is emptier than that. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. I destroyed myself, didn't I? You just sped up the process. She laughed through her tears, a sound halfway between sorrow and disbelief. You always knew how to cut deep. Maybe I learned from the best. We both fell silent again. The beeping of her monitor filled the room, steady, indifferent. She looked up one last time. If you walk away now, I won't stop you. I just needed you to know I'm not that person anymore. I met her gaze. Maybe not. But I'm not the same man you broke either. Her lips trembled. Then who are you now? I adjusted my grip on the cane and turned toward the door. Someone who finally understands that forgiveness isn't owed, it's earned. She whispered, Will I ever earn it? I paused in the doorway. My reflection in the glass looked nothing like the broken man I used to be. I didn't know, I said softly, if I wanted your apology or your silence. Then I left her with both. The days after the confrontation blurred together. I went to work, smiled when needed, but my mind kept drifting back to the sound of her voice, the tremble, the regret, the way she whispered my name like it still meant something. Lily caught on faster than I expected. You've been quiet lately, she said one evening as we closed the cafe. What's eating you this time? I wiped the counter, pretending not to hear. Nothing. Liar, she said, folding her arms. You get that faraway look when you're trying to convince yourself you're fine. I sighed. It's Clara, her brow lifted. The ex who nearly destroyed you? Yeah, I muttered. She's in the hospital. Lily leaned against the table, her tone softening. And you went to see her, didn't you? I did. Why? I don't know. Maybe I wanted to see her fall. Maybe I wanted proof that life actually balances things out. And did it? I hesitated. She's broken. But it didn't make me feel any better, Lily smiled faintly. Because revenge never does. It's sugar on poison. It tastes sweet for a second, but it kills you slowly. I looked at her. You always talk like you've been through this before. I have, she said. And I learned that forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you, I laughed bitterly. Forgiveness? For the woman who humiliated me, called me weak, mocked my pain? Yes, Lily said simply, because you're still letting her control your heart every time you think of her. Her words cut deeper than she realized. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her voice echoed in my mind, Clara's trembling with guilt, and Lily's steady and wise. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter, but the truth was obvious. I wasn't angry at Clara anymore. I was angry that I ever let her shape who I became. By morning, my decision was made. I walked into the hospital, the same sterile scent greeting me like an old memory. The receptionist looked up. Can I help you, sir? Yes, I said. I'm here about a patient, Clara Hayes. Her eyes flicked to the computer screen. Are you a relative? No, just someone who owes her a past. She frowned but didn't ask more. She still has an outstanding balance. I nodded. How much? 40,000 and some change. My chest tightened. The number was heavy, absurd, but it wasn't about the money. It was about letting go. I'd like to pay part of it, I said. Anonymously, the receptionist blinked. Are you sure? Yes. She processed the transaction quietly, then handed me a receipt. Would you like her to be notified? I shook my head. No, she doesn't need to know. As I walked out, the sound of my cane echoed through the hallway. Each tap felt lighter, freer. Outside, the sky hung low with gray clouds, but for the first time, it didn't feel oppressive. It felt peaceful. Later that evening, Lily was waiting at my apartment with takeout and her usual knowing look. You did something today, didn't you? I smiled faintly. You could say that? Hospital? I nodded. You forgave her. Not exactly, I said. I just stopped needing her to suffer. She tilted her head. That's forgiveness, Ethan. Just in a quieter form. I leaned back on the couch. It's strange. I thought victory meant watching her crumble. But it turns out it's just walking away without hate. Lily handed me a cup of tea. That's growth. Most people never get that far. I sipped the tea, its warmth grounding me. I didn't do it for her. I know, she said softly. You did it for you. Silence settled between us, but it wasn't heavy. It was the kind that comes when something inside finally unclenches. Do you think she'll ever know? I asked quietly. Maybe, Lily said. But it doesn't matter. You already do. I looked at her and smiled. You always have the last word, don't you? Someone has to keep you from drowning in your own storms, she said, grinning. I chuckled. You're doing a pretty good job. As night fell, I stood by the window, watching the city glow in the distance. For the first time in years, my reflection didn't look haunted. Maybe karma wasn't about revenge after all. Maybe it was about balance, about finding peace in the wreckage. I thought of Clara, alone in that hospital room, and whispered a truth I'd never said aloud. I forgive you. The words didn't burn. They healed, and in that quiet moment, I realized I hadn't freed her. I'd freed myself. I was sipping coffee when the knock came. It was gentle, hesitant, the kind that carried more apology than purpose. When I opened the door, my breath caught. Mrs. Hayes? She stood there, smaller than I remembered. Her hair was streaked with silver, her eyes rimmed red. She clutched her purse like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Ethan, she whispered. I hope I'm not intruding. I stepped aside. Please come in. She hesitated before entering, scanning my apartment as if searching for something she'd lost long ago. I offered her a seat, but she remained standing, trembling slightly. I wasn't sure you'd even open the door, she said softly. Why wouldn't I? Because of Clara. Her voice cracked on the name. Because of everything she did to you. I stayed quiet, letting the silence fill the space she couldn't. She finally sat, folding her hands together. I heard what you did for her hospital bills, so she knew. I'd told no one but Lily. She didn't tell me, Mrs. Hayes continued. One of the nurses did. Said an anonymous payment came through, but I knew.
I knew it had to be you. I stared at the floor.
It wasn't charity. Her eyes glistened. Then what was it? Closure, I said. I wasn't doing it for her. I just didn't want to keep carrying the bitterness. Mrs. Hayes nodded slowly. You're a better man than any of us, Ethan. I shook my head. No, just one who got tired of hating, she exhaled shakily. Clara's not doing well. Her kidneys are failing and the doctors say, it's not looking good. The words hit harder than I expected. For a moment, I couldn't speak. She asked for you, Mrs. Hayes added, voice trembling. Not Derek, not her friends, you. I clenched my jaw. Why me? Because guilt doesn't fade easily, she said. She knows what she did. Every cruel word, every selfish thing. It's been eating her alive. I swallowed hard. And you came here to ask me to see her? She nodded. Not for her sake, for mine. I can't stand to watch my daughter die thinking no one forgave her. Her plea hung in the air like smoke. I rubbed my temples. Do you think forgiveness erases what happened? No, she said. But it gives peace to the one who grants it. Peace, I muttered. That word keeps finding me lately. Mrs. Hayes smiled faintly through her tears. Because you've earned it. I looked up at her, really looked. The proud woman who once turned her nose up at me now sat humble, desperate, stripped of the arrogance that used to mirror her daughters. What happened to her, Mrs. Hayes? I asked quietly. How did she end up like this? She wiped her eyes. After Derek left, she lost everything. The scandal destroyed her reputation. She tried to rebuild, but every door closed. She wouldn't take my help. She said she deserved what she got. I sighed. Maybe she was right. Maybe that's how we learn. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You sound just like your father. That startled me. You knew him? Of course. He used to come by when Clara and you were still together. He once told me, my son's got more strength in his heart than most men have in their legs. I didn't understand it then. I do now, my throat tightened. He said that? She nodded. You remind me of him now. Calm, steady, grounded. Pain made you whole, Ethan. It didn't break you. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, she stood, pulling a small envelope from her purse. Clara asked me to give you this if you refused to see her. I took it, feeling the weight of it in my hand. What is it? Her apology, Mrs. Hayes whispered. And maybe her goodbye. I didn't open it. Not yet. As she moved toward the door, she paused. Thank you for what you did. Not just for her, but for showing me there's still good left in the world. It wasn't goodness, I said softly. It was release, she smiled sadly. Sometimes those are the same thing. When she left, the apartment felt impossibly quiet. I sat there, turning the envelope over in my hands. Her handwriting was shaky, almost unrecognizable. Part of me wanted to tear it open. Another part wanted to leave it sealed forever. In the end, I placed it in my father's old drawer, the same one that once held his letter to me. Maybe someday I'd be ready to read hers, but for now, I didn't need to, because for the first time in years, I truly felt free. The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and memories I didn't want to revisit. My cane echoed softly with each step, a rhythm I'd learned to live with, steady, calm, deliberate. When I reached her door, I hesitated. Part of me wondered if opening it would reopen every wound I'd finally managed to heal, but closure demanded presence, not avoidance. So I took a deep breath and stepped inside. Clara looked smaller than I remembered. Her once perfect hair was thin, her skin pale, her eyes rimmed with exhaustion. She turned her head slowly, and when she saw me, she froze. Ethan, her voice cracked. You came. Yeah, I said quietly, pulling up a chair. Didn't think I would, did you? Her lips trembled. I wasn't sure you should. Maybe I shouldn't have, I said. But here I am. She tried to smile, but failed. You look different, stronger. I guess time does that, I replied. It makes you choose between healing or staying broken. Clara's eyes glistened. I stayed broken for a long time. I nodded, watching her struggle to find words. I heard about the payment, she whispered. It was you, wasn't it? Does it matter? I asked. It does to me, she said quickly. Because no one else would have done it. Not after what I did to you. I leaned back slightly. You're right. Most people wouldn't. But I didn't do it for you. Her gaze dropped. Then why? For me, I said. Because I was tired of letting what you did define me. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You have every right to hate me. I did, I admitted. For a long time. But hate gets heavy after a while. She took a shaky breath. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, I said softly. But I'm giving it anyway. Her eyes widened. Why? Because holding on to anger doesn't make me stronger. It keeps me tied to the past. And I'm done living there. Clara turned her face toward the window, the weak sunlight brushing her features. I ruined everything good in my life, she whispered. My career, my family, you. You ruined what you didn't value, I said. And when life took it away, you realized what mattered. She let out a trembling laugh. Karma's cruel. Maybe, I said. Or maybe it's fair. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Only the steady beeping of her monitor broke it. Then, she looked at me again, eyes filled with something fragile, remorse. I wish I had loved you when you needed me, she said. Back then, I was too obsessed with being admired to know what love really meant. The words hit harder than I expected. I swallowed, my throat tight, and I wish I'd stopped needing your approval to know my worth. She reached out, her hand trembling. I hesitated, then took it. Her skin was cold, her grip weak, but it carried more sincerity than anything she'd ever given me before. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not just for leaving, but for making you believe you were less. I know, I said. And maybe that's enough. Her tears flowed freely now. You were always the better person, Ethan. I shook my head. No, just the one who learned faster. She smiled faintly. You're still funny. Still walking with a cane, I said with a small grin. Still stronger than I'll ever be, she murmured. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. The kind of quiet that feels like an ending. When the nurse came in, I stood. Clara looked at me, panic flickering in her eyes. You're leaving? Yeah, I said softly. You need rest. Will I see you again? She asked. I paused. Maybe in another life. One where we both get it right. She smiled through tears. I'd like that. I nodded, turning toward the door. As I walked away, the sound of my cane tapping against the floor echoed through the hallway, steady, rhythmic, alive. Each step felt lighter than the last. I realized I wasn't limping toward the past anymore. I was walking into peace. By the time I reached the exit, the sunlight outside felt different, warmer somehow. I didn't look back. There was nothing left behind me worth holding on to. Forgiveness hadn't changed the past. It had changed me, and as I stepped into the light, I finally understood. Revenge never wins. Letting go does. The morning air felt crisp against my skin as I stood in the therapy center, cane resting beside the wall. For months I had dreamed of this day, the day I'd take a step without it. Lily stood a few feet away, arms crossed, smiling like she already knew I could do it. Ready? She asked. I exhaled. Not sure. My legs feel like strangers, she chuckled softly. Then it's time you get reacquainted. I stared at the floor, my heart pounding. It's been years, Lily. What if I fall again? Then you'll get back up, she said firmly. That's what you do, Ethan. Her confidence steadied me more than any crutch ever had. I placed my hand on the parallel bars, my fingers trembling slightly. Take it slow, she said. I've been taking it slow for years, I muttered. Maybe it's time I just walk. And so I did. The first step was shaky, awkward, almost painful, but it was mine. My muscles protested, my knees wobbled, but I didn't stop. Lily's voice filled the silence. Look at you, she said, tears welling up. You're walking, I laughed breathlessly. Barely, doesn't matter. You're doing it. I took another step, then another. By the fifth, my chest felt like it would burst, not from pain, but from something deeper. Freedom. When I reached the end of the bars, I turned to her. No cane, I whispered. She grinned. No cane. We both stood there grinning like idiots. I didn't even realize I was crying until she wiped a tear off my cheek. You've come a long way, she said. From the guy who couldn't stand on his own, I said quietly, to the one who finally can. Not just on your legs, she added. In your life. Her words hit me harder than I expected. Yeah. In my life, too. We walked, or rather I stumbled, outside. The sunlight spilled across the pavement, warm and golden. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I felt it this way, not as a reminder of what I'd lost, but as a sign of what I'd gained. Lily watched me steady myself, then asked, "Do you ever think about her?" "Clara?" I said after a pause. "Sometimes. Not with anger anymore, though." "What about forgiveness?" I nodded. "I think I found it. Not for her, for me. Forgiveness wasn't about setting her free. It was about freeing myself." Lily smiled softly. "You sound like someone who finally made peace." "Maybe I did," I said. "Or maybe peace was waiting all along. I just had to learn how to walk toward it." She laughed. "That's poetic, Mr. Cole." "I've had a lot of time to think," I said. "Broken bones make good philosophers." We both laughed then. Real laughter, not the bitter kind I used to know. As we reached the sidewalk, a car passed by, its reflection flashing across a shop window. For a moment, I saw myself in it, standing tall, steady, whole. Not perfect, but whole. I stopped and stared at the reflection. "You know what's strange?" I said. "What?" Lily asked. "I used to think walking again would be the victory. But it's not," she tilted her head. "Then what is?" "Becoming someone who doesn't need revenge to feel alive." Lily's eyes softened. "Then you've already won." I took a deep breath. "Yeah, I think I have." We stood there for a while, watching the world move. The sound of traffic, the chatter of people, it all felt lighter somehow. When Lily turned to head back inside, I stayed. I wanted a moment alone. I looked down at my legs, scarred, unsteady, but strong. I thought of the years I spent hating my reflection, hating fate, hating her, and now here I was, walking, breathing, living. The cane leaned quietly against the wall behind me, forgotten. I took one final step forward, steady and sure. The sun warmed my face, and I whispered, almost to myself, "Thank you, Karma," not with spite, not with pride, but with gratitude, because everything I'd lost had made room for everything I'd become. My scars still told their story, but they no longer screamed. They whispered. They reminded me of the man I used to be, and the one I finally became. As I walked away from the building, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The man who once begged for love now walked on his own, and for the first time in years, I wasn't surviving. I was living.